Hello, and welcome to this month's Safety Minute. When I was in therapy, I was there for over 3 years. And in that time, I literally met thousands of other people that also were injured at work. Now, the average injury, they'd be in therapy for a month to 3 months. Although granted, some were there for less and some were there for more. But I was the fixture. I was always the worst hurt person. And because of that, everybody wanted to know my story. So in order for you to get my story, you had to tell me yours. And I've literally heard thousands of stories on how people get injured. With that means I've also heard thousands of stories of the mental health journey people go through after an injury. You see, quite often we focus on the physical side of an injury, on the things that you no longer can do, but very rarely do we actually look at the mental side of the injury. Now, before I continue on, I want you to know that I am a guy's guy. I am a person that has never fought with depression, anxiety, or suicide. Yet after my incident, I fought with all of these things. And I have found that there are events that can happen into my life that will take me into some really deep and dark places. And the very first emotion that people deal with after an incident is the anger. Hearing so many stories on how people get injured, I have been able to pinpoint exactly where the anger starts. It comes when you meet the doctor. See, when you're in the emergency room and that doctor is examining you and he's giving you the diagnosis, it doesn't matter what the injury is. This is what he's saying to you in layman's terms. Your life changed real fast. And because that's the outcome of an injury, is it changes our lives in a way we can't prepare for it. That's where the anger comes from. And I look at anger as like filling up a balloon full of air. You put too much air into a balloon and eventually it's going to explode. And you put too much anger into you and eventually you're going to explode. And what ends up happening is you play the events over and over and over and over again in your head, looking for answers on why your life had to change really fast. And the only answers you're going to find are things that you could have done and should have done. Things that your employer could have done and should have done. But all those could have dones and should have dones, those things are in the past. You can't do anything about them anymore. They have absolutely no bearing on affecting where you are right now. And because there's no answers to things that you could have done and should have done in the past, it pulls you deeper and deeper and deeper into that anger. To when that anger, it eventually turns itself into depression. And when I was depressed, I found that I had this magical ability to take anything positive in my life and turn it into something negative. I didn't want to look for sunshine or rainbows or lollipops and unicorns in my life. I liked to be depressed. And then the anxiety hit. Literally for me, anxiety was like having a sumo wrestler sit on my chest and I couldn't breathe. Now there was a time in the hospital when I literally couldn't breathe. I had a ventilator in my mouth so I could breathe. And when they transferred me from my hospital room down to the operating room, they'd have to disconnect the ventilator. And when they disconnected the ventilator, all of a sudden a nurse would have to bag me and give me my air. Well, every once in a while, she'd forget to give me a breath. And in those moments, I literally could not breathe. That is the most helpless feeling I've ever had in my entire life, is not being able to breathe. And that's what I relate anxiety to. The most helpless feeling in your entire life. And when we take on that risk, we don't take it on feeling like we're helpless. We take it on feeling like that we're invincible. But then when you get injured, you sometimes get to deal with feeling completely helpless and depressed and angry. And you gotta imagine you're on so much medication that it also augments how you're thinking. Then, here comes the suicide. When I was suicidal, I found that I saw my life in two ways. That everything sucked and nothing was going to change. And let's face it, everything did suck. It was not easy recovering through the severe injuries of my burns. And I didn't see the millimeter of nerves I was building. I didn't see the ounce of muscle I was putting on every week. I didn't see anything changing or ever getting better. But what I found out is not everything sucked. I was literally in the best hospital in all of Canada. My loved ones were coming to visit me every single day, and they were bringing me food when I could eat so I could put on weight faster. My wife never gave up on me, and the baby within her belly continued to develop perfectly healthy and normal. Not everything sucked. I was just too blind to see it. And then I also saw that nothing was going to change. But I've come to realize that every moment of everyone's life is all about change. You can't even stop change if you try. The only thing you can do with change is have a hand in its outcome. You can either work with change and make it the best possible scenario out there, or you can fight it and ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. Now, I share all this with you not only give you tools if you're struggling with mental health, but also to let you know the very real journey that people go through after an injury. Not only the physical journey, but that mental health journey. And that mental health journey, it has a massive impact on the outcomes of your physical journey. But you better be prepared to deal with that mental health journey, especially if you're a guy's guy. Because if you've never been depressed or anxious or suicidal, you're going to have very little tools on how to deal with it when you are. And the best way to prevent that mental health journey is to stop the incident. If you don't get injured, you don't have to not only have to go through that physical journey, but you don't have to go through that mental health journey. Safety does far more for us than just convolute our day with rules and policies and procedures. It gives us a full life where you don't have to struggle with things that I've had to go through, stories I've had to hear thousands of times. And I hope you enjoyed this month's Safety Minute. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe button. If you want to bring me out to your workplace, go to spencerspeaks.ca. And until the next Safety Minute, stay safe.